Hey everyone, welcome to the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. Bess McCarty here, Victoria, Kansas. Today we're covering the book Failing Forward by John Maxwell, and we're on a chapter today about persistence. Let's see, this is specifically chapter number 14. And I got a story for you today about that. And welcome, Mika, how are you? I have a story today about persistence and how does that relate to failure. First, I want to just introduce the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show is a daily personal growth show where you can come Monday through Friday at 11:30 a.m. and watch this from the Facebook group, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. And you can also get a free ebook there of John Maxwell's, and you can find yourself in the company of almost 600 network marketing leaders there. It's a really fine group, and we present this show every Monday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, sponsored by our school, the MLM Millionaire Academy. This is a generic school for network marketers where we teach how to always get a yes, to never get objections, actually to jump ranks faster and easier and better than any method that I've ever seen in network marketing anywhere. So we do teach the personal growth, including John Maxwell, and how to actually go very fast with leads, and also so we teach both the skills and the mindset in that school, run by Jeffrey David Gamble, usually, and me, and Brandy Pember. And usually Jeff and Brandy present the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show on all the days but Wednesday when I present. And so welcome, Gian. Very glad to see everybody. Hey, if you're watching the replay, please type in replay because I want to thank you for that. And I'd like to hear where you're from. And what's it like where you are now? In Kansas, we had 100 degrees yesterday, and we're supposed to again later on in the week. It's hot and humid here and windy, but it's still beautiful. I got my first lily, my orange lily, blooming today, and I was thrilled about that. Got little tomatoes, little cherry tomatoes, babies coming up, and mint and marigolds and other things. So they don't mind the heat as long as I keep watering them. Hey, Mika, thank you for watching. Mika is from Florida, and watch her for social media expertise. She's helping with my YouTube. You might like to check her out if anyone's needing that kind of help. And welcome, Gian, and thank you everybody for being here. Thank you so much for being here. Going to just invite a few people and invite you to invite people. Some people like to tag, share in other Facebook groups that can be getting their personal growth work in at the same time. This is the time to have an easy. I like to tune into these shows every day and listen to what Jeff and Brandy have to say because I get an aha every time that I can take away and use. I love John Maxwell. We cover a lot of his books. Our next book will be Brendan Burchard when we're finished with this one in a couple days. So Monday we start the Habits of Highly Successful People by Brendan Burchard, and I really look forward to rereading that book too. So thank you for your likes, loves, comments, shares. It matters. It reaches more people that way. So thank you very much. Okay, so I have a cool story for you today. I love, John Maxwell really puts a lot into each book. He has over 100 books now, believe it or not, in his really prolific career because he writes every day and he's still writing. But this chapter 14, he said there's a little difference between failure and success, but that makes the big difference. It's a little difference, but it makes a big difference. And if you didn't already hear me tell you what that secret is, listen up. So this quote by Ken Hubbard: "There is no failure except no longer trying. There is no defeat except from within. No really insurmountable barrier save our own inherent weakness of purpose." Ken Hubbard said that. So the only failure is no longer trying. Their only defeat is from within. There's no insurmountable barrier except our weak purpose. Could that really be true? Or could it be sometimes that life is just bigger than us and we should give up, right? I'll tell you a story. Maybe you can decide that for yourself. Welcome, Donna. Okay, so John Maxwell says most people believe that a huge gaping chasm stands between them and success. They suspect deep down that they will never be able to cross that void or get to the other side in achieving their dream. Who can relate to that? Like, do I have what it takes? It's too big. Am I dreaming too big? Is it possible for me? We wonder, right? We doubt ourselves. And he said, I want to let you in on a little secret. There's not that much difference between success and failure. And John Maxwell's had both in his life. So, let's listen to somebody who's an expert at this. He said there's not much different between success and failure, and yet that little difference makes a big difference. It's kind of paradox, right? What creates that difference? Says, let me share a story with you. So who's heard of Macy's department store? They're very old and they're still going. I had to go and look, but they're still going after all these years. And he said, I think everyone has heard of it, but they might not have known about the founder, R.H. Macy. He was born in Nantucket at a time when whaling was king, so his first job was on a whaling ship at age 15. He spent 4 years on that ship, and he saw the world and traveled as far as New Zealand, and when he returned to the United States, he had a whopping $500 in savings, which I think at that time was pretty good, right? It's like coming back from the Navy with some money to start. He worked several odd jobs and took a position as an apprentice in a printing shop, but that only lasted 6 months. His ambitions were bigger than that. Then he decided to try his hand at retail. This is a success story, but look at all the steps he had to take to get there. Hey, Jeff, welcome. Jeff is sharing over into the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show Facebook group. Thank you very much. So this is when Macy, when his job in the printing shop, he must have been, 19 now, and they only lasted 6 months. He decided to try his hand at retail. So with that little money he had saved at sea, he opened a small thread and needle shop in Boston, and his hopes were high and his work ethic was strong, but the business failed within a year. Ouch. And was plenty at that time. I don't know what that would be worth now. 5,000, 50,000, I don't know. 500,000, I don't know. But, okay, so that failed within a year. But did he give up? Nope, he tried again. His second store was trading dry goods, mostly European-made items bought at auction. Again, he worked hard, and again, he failed. Following year, decided to team with his brother-in-law, Samuel S. Houghton, who eventually founded Houghton and Dutton in Boston. He worked with him and learned a lot, but after a year, he decided he needed a change. So, go west, young man. Macy and his brother Charles heard about the gold strike in California, so they went and tried that. And they didn't have a lot of luck, but they immediately saw, hey, there's an opportunity to sell dry goods to miners. So, along with 2 other partners, they opened Macy and Company in Marysville, north of Sacramento, and they did fairly well until the gold ran out and the miners left the area. So they sold their business to a competitor and moved back east. And welcome, Mr. Roeder. Glad to see you. Talking about a secret of success, and that's within this story. Okay, his next try, he did not give up. Say, I should just get a job, right? I should go back and work with my brother-in-law. I should go back to that printing shop and make that work or something like that. He didn't do that. He kept trying. His next venture was a dry goods store in Haverhill, Massachusetts, just north of Boston. He had learned something from each business he had run, and he was starting to formulate a unique philosophy of trade. At this store, he introduced innovations that would later become his trademark, like selling at a fixed price while other stores haggled, and buying and selling for cash only, and advertising heavily, and even wrote his own copy and ads and all that stuff. Unfortunately, that business didn't make it either, and he closed the doors. He wasn't defeated, though. The following year, he opened another store, and he sold goods for the lowest price in town. He had innovations, clever advertising, hard work, but that business didn't make it either. After 3 years of struggle in a relatively small town, Haverhill, Massachusetts, Macy sold out and declared bankruptcy. Shoot. Okay, at that point, Macy decided to get out of retail. For a while, he worked as a stockbroker and then a real estate broker. He moved to Wisconsin to pursue an opportunity there, but a financial panic that year, wiped that out. So despite the difficult times, he still had some success and some money. His big opportunity in Wisconsin fell through, but a friend convinced him to go into retail again and give it another try. Once again, he returned to the West. By then, he had tried 5 professions: whaler, retailer, gold miner, stockbroker, real estate broker, and this would be his 7th attempt at retail. 7. He must have been weary, yet he was only 35 years old from all of those things that didn't work. So, what a story. Yeah, wait till you hear. Okay, so that's a lot of failures or learning experiences, isn't it? So he returned from sea when he was 19, then he was 35, so that's, how many years is that? Of trying and failing. 6 retail stores that failed, had to declare bankruptcy on the last one. That would be enough to me to argue, well, he deserves to not try anymore, right? He deserves to give up and say, well, I guess I'm just not good at this. I guess I just can't do it. I don't know why I can't. I mean, I don't know why other people can and I can't. But no one would have blamed him, including himself, or if he had a mate. No one would have blamed him for not trying again in retail. But guess what? He did. Reminds me a little bit of Napoleon Hill's story. Okay, so he decided to try his luck in Manhattan, and that was to make the tremendous difference. Even in New York, the largest city with a population of almost 1 million, was 100 times larger than the Haverhill area, and New York was still growing. So guess what? That one worked. In 1958, he opened a fancy dry goods store, and after only 12 months, he was grossing $80,000 a year. By the 1870s, that store was averaging more than $1 million in sales per year. And back then, that's like how many million now, right? Okay, that one worked. But I noticed that it couldn't have worked to that huge scale. What would that be like now? Would that be like 100 million a year now? So he's going from nothing to the equivalent of like 100 million. I'm just guessing. Maybe somebody here knows. But he goes from nothing to that. And I just made a little note to myself. It was not without all the experience of those past 26 years, or 16 years. It was not without the experience of the past 16 years and all the failures and all the learning. And what he took forward was that as he grew, he revolutionized retail trade. He can be credited with numerous innovations, like inventing the concept of the modern department store, making set prices the norm in the industry instead of haggling, buying and selling in high volume to provide lower prices for the customers, and introducing modern retail advertising, and appointing the first female executive in history. And he did die in a buying trip to Europe, but his business lived on and continued to bring innovation in retail trade. At the time of this writing, there were 191 Macy's stores, and I just checked, and they're still going strong. And can you imagine trying to run, hit sudden success and run the equivalent of, $1 million back in the 1870s without all the experience, without trying things out and seeing what worked better than other things. He could have wrecked that one without all that experience. So somehow all of those failures was his school, his business school, that added up to this success. And I think he must have felt it. Like, I'm learning some things here, failed again. But I'm learning some things here, and he failed again. But I know some things. And he probably knew any more than anybody else in the dry goods or in that industry because of his previous 6 failures. But that is precisely why he could bring all that experience and make this one success. Really cool. And welcome, Eric. Glad to see you. Glad to see you here. So, what is the secret sauce that John Maxwell's presenting? What is the secret thing that John says is there's a small difference between failure and success, but that small thing makes a huge difference? What is it? Anybody know? Can type it below. And welcome, Tony. Glad to see you. Been a while since I saw you. So you can type that below. What is the secret? That small thing that makes a huge difference. That small thing. The small difference that makes a huge difference. So, anybody know? What is that small thing? Maxwell says it's persistence. Persistence. The power of persistence. And that's what took Macy through failure after failure. Of course, enthusiasm is the ability to keep going even through the failures, isn't it? And to keep applying the successes. Was it Michael Jordan? You know, I've had so many failures, and that's why I succeeded. So let us embrace those. Let us keep our dream. And you know, you can get so close. Macy must have felt he was so close each time, and he could have failed again. You know, so I guess going forward, to put out another try, we have to be willing. Am I willing to face another failure? Am I willing to, or is that gonna you know, crush my spirit? And there have been people in history that it did crush their spirit, right? Like the fellow who flew before the Wright brothers discovered it, you know, who gave up from his failures because he gave up because of social opinion, and they made fun of him in the papers, and he already had a high reputation, and that was so hard for him because he had a high reputation to lose that in the favor of the papers over his failures. So he just quit altogether. He didn't want to risk another one and being made fun of again. Whereas the Wright brothers, they didn't care. They didn't have a reputation. They didn't have any money. They didn't have anybody funding it like the other fellows. So they went ahead and they succeeded. So are we willing to face another failure? Can we weather it? Can we weather it? Okay, some tips from John Maxwell. He said number 1 to develop this persistence is number 1 is purpose. Find one. What drives you? What motivates you? I think that Macy was an entrepreneurial person, and he didn't want to work for somebody else. He wanted to see his dream come true. I think he wanted to create. I think that entrepreneurs are creators and creative people, and they just can't not create. They can't work for somebody else if there's not room to be innovative and to try their hand and to make things work. Maybe he's like a gardener too, likes to see things grow and flourish. There's a thrill in that, and that you get to try out your idea and tweak it and work it. So, but have a purpose. Always bear in mind that your resolution to succeed is more important than any other thing. Abraham Lincoln said that. So, get next to people who possess great desire. Develop discontent with the status quo. Search for a goal that excites you. Put your most vital possessions into that goal. You put yourself in it, your skin in the game. Visualize yourself enjoying the rewards of that goal. So those are tips on how to get a purpose. More tips from John Maxwell is excuses. Eliminate them. We can make money or we can make excuses, right? Well, what good does an excuse do me? If I point to a reason for me failing, that doesn't help me succeed. If I point to a reason, if I blame something or someone else, it just lets me off the hook in my own mind, but it doesn't help me succeed. So if we want success, we eliminate excuses and overcome them. Effort only fully releases its reward after a person refuses to quit. Napoleon Hill. That's the price of admittance. Life knows that that's the price. Now that person's not going to quit. I might as well give them success, right? A persistent person. Number 3 tip from John Maxwell's incentives will keep you persistent. Develop some. What's an incentive? He says reward yourself only after you reach the goal. Divide the process into stages to multiply the rewards. You can have it at certain steps. And include others. That increases accountability and makes achievement more enjoyable. So enlist accountability, support, partners. Eric Worre says, say yes, tell the world, then figure it out. Right? Tell the world, because if people are watching you, you're going to be motivated, more motivated to do it than than saying, well, if I don't do this, nobody's going to know that I tried. If I don't do it, nobody will know that I gave up. So you put some skin in the game by getting the eyes on you by telling the world. And number 4 tip from John Maxwell, determination. Cultivate determination. And Napoleon Hill says, effort only fully releases its rewards after the person refuses to quit. So I'll close. I'd love to hear from you guys now. Do you have a takeaway from today? Did you see something? Did you hear something that you can use? Did it give you hope through whatever that you're attempting? This show is for entrepreneurs. Our purpose is to help people grow, to educate, equip, and empower entrepreneurs and create independent servant leaders. Specifically for network marketers, it's the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show. So how many people here have are building their network marketing business? Please put yes below, because I want to encourage you in that. And how many people have ever felt discouraged? Just put a double yes there that you're building, and yes that you felt discouraged. Thank you for the likes and loves. I appreciate that. If you're building your business and you've ever felt discouraged, please type in yes. Because you're not alone, because this is normal, because you're on track, because this is life honing you and purifying you to keep going. Every time you keep going, you get muscle. You get persistence muscle. Every time that you press through, oh, nobody's going to want to hear about what I have today. It's easier to watch TV tonight. I'll do it next week. Anytime that you bust through any of these, you're developing more muscle and you're getting stronger. In fact, that's their purpose of a hurdle, is to help you get stronger and help you to get more successful. Your strength, bit by bit by bit, adds up, just like Macy's experience, toward your success in network marketing. And one of the greatest things is to overcome our sense of discouragement. That puts a lot of people out of the game. I can't do it. I don't have what it takes. There must be a magic bullet. I haven't found it. The successful people must have something that I don't. Nobody wants to hear from me. I haven't done it before, therefore I can't do it in the future. Those are all things that can stop you and test your persistence. But every time you persevere through that and know that the people who made it are no better than me, no smarter, no more well-connected. They're no better than me. If I haven't done it before, it doesn't mean I can't do it now going forward. And if other people have done it, I can too. And there are people who will want to hear what I have to say and who will thank me for it. Maybe it won't be everyone or even most of them, but there will be those special people that it will change their lives. Maybe with my product or service, or maybe with my business. Remember the people that you've helped before, and know that there's a whole lot more out there that need your help, and then go forward to it. Now, as far as making it easy and making sure you're not intruding, we do have a script that we teach in the MLM Millionaire Academy, our generic school for network marketers, with Jeff and Brandy. There's a script that we have that makes it easy to do this and to share it with people, because it gets permission, because it's about referrals, because it's super indirect, and because you're working with your friends and family. And it's not about them, it's about referrals. This is the script. You text 10 friends or family. Hi, can I ask you a favor? I want to let you know what I'm doing in case you run across the right person. You can refer them to me. Is this a good time? And then usually half of them text back, yes, it's a good time, or later, or what is it? And if it's a good time, then you read them your 10-minute presentation. Do not send them to a video first because people don't watch the videos. After you do your 10-minute presentation composed of 5 parts from your company's compliant material, then you can send them to the video. But this is a bridge between you and between them and the video, between the invite and the video. These are 2 keys. The favor script exactly like I said it, and exactly like I said it, and doing the 10-minute presentation before the video and how to do the 10-minute presentation. These are tips that we teach within the school that makes it's the simplest, easiest, most duplicatable method that I've ever seen in network marketing. People don't have any fear using this because it's easy and they get their business going fast with it. I'll post a link below with a free class to our school if you'd like to check it out. We'd love to share that with you, and it includes that script in the 10-minute presentation. So I think that you will benefit from this. We hope you check out the school because people are using these methods to jump ranks. We also teach the 10 core commitments in there. So hope you enjoyed today. I'll leave with this little I help a lot of MLMs. I help a lot of MLMs. All right. Thank you. Thank you too. Thank you everybody for being here. Who has a takeaway from today? Who has a question? Who has a comment? Who has a tip? Love to hear it about prospecting, about the favor script I just shared, about John Maxwell, about failure, about persistence. What has it been like for you? How did you overcome discouragement? I like to hear that. Keep the conversation going here. I'm going to close with a tip from John Maxwell from this book. Take time to write down your dream and the reason why you desire to fulfill it. Then write down all the things you would be willing to go through to make it happen. Napoleon Hill says the same thing. Try to think of everything that could possibly go wrong as you pursue it. If you do that, you will be mentally prepared for problems to come, and that will help you to be more persistent. Beautiful. I think if that's the only thing contained in this book, it would be all that was needed for success. Thank you, John Maxwell, Failing Forward. Tomorrow is Jeff and Brandy will be back with chapter 15, which is, it's what you do after you get backup that counts. It's what you do after you get backup. Experience is not just what happens to you. Experience is what you do with what happens to you after you get backup. Okay, sounds like a teamwork. So join us tomorrow, the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show, to catch Jeff and Brandy presenting on this one, on this chapter 15. And thank you all for being here. Let's see if there's some comments. It looks like an artist painting. I have to preserve. We have to preserve or persevere, I think, or else you won't like the consequences. Thanks, Shamala. Shamala's a successful network marketer, business person, very smart person, very loving person. And she was reminding me that if we don't persevere, we're not going to be happy with ourselves, right? If Macy would have given up, wouldn't that be worse than failing again? If you would have given up permanently, wouldn't that have been worse? You know, the fellow that did that with the flying, he died 2 years later. At least on Macy, might have been dying, you know, he might have died on this plane trip. He might have been dying doing what he loved and knowing that he made a success, though. So thank you all for being here, joining in. See us tomorrow for the MLM Lunchtime Leadership Show at that Facebook group. I love you guys. Let's go forward. Persevere in your dream and in making a difference for yourself and for other people. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.